You are listening to the Your Empty Nest Coach podcast with Coach Christine, episode number 101. Why you don't know what is next for your life. Psst, it isn't your fault. And this is just a teaser. I work with mothers of high school students and beyond who are in the trenches with sad and possibly overwhelming thoughts about what their life will look like when their baby heads to college and begins to leave the nest. My client's big question is, what will I do with my time? Is this you? I've been there and I get it. Empowering you to write the next jaw-dropping, amazing chapter in your life is my passion. I am energized by leading you in the process of exploration and am thrilled when you unlock the power that lies within you. This podcast is my gift to you. Hello, my empty nest friend and CEO of your life. Today's episode is the beginning of my new free webinar. We recorded it last Thursday and it's waiting for you right now. So exciting. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that if you find yourself talking back to me at any part of this episode, or if something resonates with you, or if you have a quick tip to share with my audience, please take the opportunity to leave me audio feedback either through SpeakPipe or my Google Voice number. You'll find the information to do this in the description of this episode. On Apple Podcasts, click Details. On Spotify, click See More. On Overcast, press the I for Information button. Get the idea? Of course, I always have full show notes with links to anything I discuss in the episode and a full episode transcription on my website. Those reside at youremptynestcoach.com/P for podcast and 101 for this episode's number. I can't wait to hear from you. Thanks. Thank you. It's time to thank our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by my membership community, the GPS Support Flock, your flight to success in the empty nest. If you are ready to find the GPS of your life, sign up to receive an immediate and free download of my PDF, How to Find Yourself in the Empty Nest, our GPS Life Principles document. You will also have the opportunity to learn about our community. See the link in this episode's show notes or fly on over to my website, youremptynestcoach.com. Click the GPS Support Flock button. See you soon. Hi, everyone. I am Coach Christine, your empty nest coach, and we are about to begin our session, Why You Don't Know What Is Next for Your Life. Psst, it isn't your fault. Hello, amazing empty nest friend. This is our three-legged shelter cat Lego stealing the show. Just like I had allowed everyone to steal my show over the last 18 or so years. Now I consciously let Lego steal the show and I take care of myself. But I didn't always. Before we dive in, let's make sure I'm not about to waste the next 25 or so minutes of your time. You are in the right place if you can't figure out what is next for your life. You've spent the last 18 or so years doing everything for everyone else. Ready to make a long-lasting, permanent change in your life that will benefit you, your family, and others. If any or all of these apply, congratulations, you are in the right place. You should have received in the confirmation emails a link to print out this PDF, which you can use as we go through this session. Or you can grab any piece of paper that you have handy and make sure you have a writing utensil. I'll tell you at the end how to claim one of these bonuses should you sign up for the GPS Support Flock. I'd like you now to consciously think about which one you would choose. So you have weight loss or simplifying your life. If you could pick right now, which one would it be? And write that down on your piece of paper. Or would you pick both of them? Totally valid answer. So let's talk about types of people. There are types of people in the world, right? When you think about vacations, there are the types of people who love being out in the woods in nature, sleeping under the stars, sleeping bag on the ground, food over the fire. And then there are the people who have to stay in 5-star hotels where they have a room service, a pool, all that fun stuff, right? How about schooling? You have people who are diehard public school families. And then you have the opposite extreme, those who homeschooled before COVID-19. And then, of course, one of the most famous types, dog or cat person. In reality, most of us are somewhere in between, but we find we identify a tad more closely with one than the other, possibly. And that may depend on the day, right? So let's consider mothers entering the empty nest. At first glance, they look pretty similar, especially if you go with what is posted on social media. One look at that social media account and you see how together they look, or how together they want you to think they are. I would now like you to consider that there are two primary types of women entering the empty nest, and I'd like to introduce them to you. Self-Help Sally and CEO of Her Life Sally. As I introduce them to you, I want you to think about who you identify with and how you identify with her, and who you want to identify with as you move forward in your life. First, let's meet Self-Help Sally. She loves being a mom. She loves her family. She supports everything her family does. She is an organizer of events, of things that happen in the family. She uses all of her time to support others, to do things for them, and necessities for herself. She's even responsible for transportation. Even if it's not the actual driving, she has the thinking of how to get them from place to place or when they're going to be home. Self-Help Sally wears her family's accomplishments like badges of honor on her. They are her identity, which is great when her child graduates, is in a rewarding career, or is incredibly happy. But when her child fails a test, drops out of school, gets arrested, considers new career options, she wears those as if they're hers too, because that's all she knows. Then there are her thoughts. Oh, I need to call a friend. How do I support my child? How do I support my partner? I have to plan that event for my extended family. Oh, I need food for that event. I got to get my own doctor appointments in. And she finds that there is just a tiny sliver of time left for her with all this stuff. Teeny, tiny sliver of time. Time that on the rare occasions when she has it available, she looks to fill it quickly, rather than simply being alone with herself. So in that tiny sliver of time that she has left, Self-Help Sally's looking for the next quick fix to solve her life's problems. She wants everything to miraculously feel better when she's done. So she fills that sliver of time with manicures, having some coffee with friends, fixing up the house, doing some workouts, maybe binging Netflix, getting a makeover, taking a trip with a friend, having a bottle of wine, or maybe just a glass of wine. Oh, maybe she needs a new partner. Wait, if I talk to so-and-so, they don't like that person either. And the little gossiping goes on. These types of things. Self-Help Sally thinks she's helping herself when she's doing them, but what she's really doing is ignoring who she is. She has no idea anyway who that woman would be. So it's just easier to stay busy. How could she find herself in that small sliver of time anyway? So she's sure she couldn't, so she doesn't even try. If she really thinks about it, she's got it better than her neighbor down the street, Janie Sue. So, you know, she's okay. Now, of course, many of the things that Self-Help Sally has chosen to do with that sliver of free time, they're absolutely fine, especially when they're balanced in her life, if she understands their place in her life. I call it the top of her life's toolbox. The BandAids, not the cure. It's when she expects these things to cure what ails her that a feeling of unrest will settle into her life. So in this photo of a dam, it would be like you knowing that there are architectural problems with it. And instead of hiring an engineer and getting in the proper tools and resources to fix it properly, you decide that a cork from a wine bottle will do just as well. Or maybe like 50 corks, and you take them and you start filling in holes in the dam. Well, you and I know that those aren't going to hold the dam, but that's kind of what Self-Help Sally's doing. The cork is fine for a wine bottle, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just doing the wrong job. What Self-Help Sally needs is a cure. No more Band-Aids. Sally knows that her child heading out on their own means more free time for her, and she doesn't quite know where to begin. Or knows once she gets through her list of things she's been putting off for years, then she won't know where to begin. How could she know what to do with her time when she spent the last 18 or so years in roles supporting everyone else? And let's talk about how she really feels under everything. And watch her carefully. Tired. No, actually, she's exhausted. She feels like a mom machine doing everything for everyone else, only she's not a robot. And when someone asks her who she is outside of her role as mother, yeah, she gives you this look. When she thinks about the time that she's going to have, she thinks she's going to look a lot like this, which might be fun for, half a day. And then what? She wonders who she is outside of all the roles that she's had. And when she thinks about it, does she even want to know who she is under those roles? Because it might be kind of scary. She thinks some days that she might want to do what she did when she was younger. Remember that thing I loved to do? And sometimes that's great. And other times, it just doesn't feel the same way anymore. She also wonders if her partner and her are going to get along. Self-Help Sally is a role filler. She's completely covered up who she is outside of her roles of mom, partner, school volunteer, employee, cat litter cleaner, those roles. This is the normal for Sally. And this is why she can't figure out what is next for her. She needs to know who she is first. But none of this is her fault. She was never taught how to manage all of this effectively and in a way that would allow her to find who she is outside of her roles. While she is really good at researching the next thing that's happening in her life and navigating it for her family, but what about her? So I ask you now, is there anything so far about Self-Help Sally that you identify with? And what resonates the most with you? Now I'd like you to meet CEO of her life, Sally. And CEO stands for Conscious Effective Olympian. CEO of her life, Sally, has done the work training her mind in a way that allows her to be strong in a way she didn't know before. She has an internal GPS that guides her throughout her days. She has a well-stocked toolbox for her life and takes inventory of it periodically. She chooses to go through life with a tremendous amount of self-love. She understands what she has control over in her life and remembers how many things are outside of her fence. All of this gives CEO of her life, Sally, a tremendous amount of peace. Peace that she had never known before. Now, if you notice, CEO of her life, Sally, also has badges. But these are her superhero badges. Let's look at one close. Check it out. These superhero badges are for learning how to be kind to herself in her thoughts, for consciously choosing her thoughts, for processing through emotions, for training her protector well and managing things outside of her fence, for stocking her CEO toolbox well, and more. Now, I bet you're wondering how I know so much about these two. Well, my friend, I was Self-Help Sally. Absolutely was. Hi, friend, I'm back. So that was the beginning of this webinar. And I then talk about how I went from Self-Help Christine to CEO of her life, Christine. And while I navigated to becoming the CEO of my life, I have created resources for you to also become the CEO of your life. So if you want to learn more, please watch the entire webinar. Check it out. I have photos of my cat, of my family, and I can't wait for you to learn more. If you have any questions along the way, ask me, and I will be back next week in your feed. Have a great day. You are amazing. See ya. At first glance, they look pretty similar, especially if you go what is posted. These superhero badges,